Hello, everyone. We are now going to take a look at players who are most likely going to be in the 2027 NBA draft. And we're going to start with Shelton Henderson, a rising sophomore at the University of Miami. Henderson is number 7 on the screen here. 6'6", 240 pounds. One of the most physical wing players in all of college basketball. Last season as a freshman, and certainly will be this season as a sophomore. You can see him on the screen here. His ability to dislodge opponents en route to driving there on 2 players against Chauncey Wiggins, a bigger defender, and help defense. He's able to finish. He really is kind of like a freight train driving down the lane. I scouted him live when Miami played Virginia Tech in Coral Gables, and when you see him in person, the physicality is evident. He finished around 66% finishing at the rim. Really good offensively. It certainly starts with what he did right there, which is trying to bully people on the way to the rim. There are many areas of his game that he needs to expand and round out and work on and improve, and we'll get into that. But despite only making, I believe, 13 three-pointers on the season, so opponents definitely knew he was trying to drive the ball, and outside shooting wasn't his biggest strength. Despite that, he was able to finish at the rim very consistently, very aggressively, and again, impose his physicality on the game. Henderson played a relatively prominent role on this Miami team as a freshman. He played 31 minutes a game, averaged about 14 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, shot 57% from the field, 62% on 2-point attempts, and only 25% from the 3-point line, and only 58% from the free throw line. So his shot is a work in progress for sure. He is able to finish like we saw at the rim, and that shows in transition where he shoots 68%. He's not like a jump out of the gym explosive type of athlete, but he certainly has the requisite athleticism and strength to finish through contact, to finish through the trees, so to speak, inside. Not much of an isolation profile, and that speaks to current maybe inability to take guys off the dribble. In fact, off the dribble jumpers, he was only 12 for 36, and by my estimation, only 2 of those 12 off the dribble makes were using more than 3 dribbles. I'm always a fan of less dribbles, the better. You want to hunt good shots, but in this case, that's not really what this was about. And again, only one of, not again, but I should say furthermore, only 1 of 13 of his 3-point makes involved any dribble at all. So 12 of them were catch and shoot. This is not a guy who's going to break down his man, at least not right now. He's only 19 years old. He's only a sophomore with a legit 6'6", 240 build. So we mentioned before, he finished 68% of his transition attempts. He's pretty reliable, athletic, strong. Played a bunch of NBA guys in the ACC this season. We saw him earlier finish against LeJay Jones and Henry Visar. And the list would go on and on. He shot 4.5 free throw attempts per game. He didn't shoot it particularly well from the line, but he's able to draw fouls well, especially against smaller, thinner defenders. If they're not there with the right position, more times than not, he's going to get the call. Now, it's not all, perfect when he tries to drive it to the hoop. He does have, I don't want to use the word an over-reliance, because he's so good at it and can dislodge opponents so well that it's understandable that he favors driving to the rim. But, sometimes it does work against him. He, like I briefly mentioned, he's not the most explosive player, so at times when he has to go against multiple defenders, he does get a shot block because he plays below the rim. Also here he's going against Jaron Pierre, who was drafted a couple weeks ago, and it makes you wonder if he goes against a patient defender who's long and athletic. Can they give him some trouble? One block by Onyeso, and then he's able to alter a second attempt on the same possession. So I would say Henderson's jump off the ground without any windup, maybe he's not the most explosive. Even with a windup there, he gets blocked. He averaged almost 5 rebounds a game. He has broad shoulders, strong grip on the ball. He's not fumbling the ball. So because of that, when there's a rebound in his area, he's going to go up and get it and can go out in transition. And because he has strength, you'd think he could rebound against bigger players as well. Let's take a look at Henderson's overall shooting profile. Again, most of his attempts were in catch and shoot. Very few of his makes this year involved more than 3 dribbles. So much more of a stationary shooter and someone who's obviously going to try to, work on this part of his game. Gets into his shot confidently, which is nice to see. Again, he's only has one season of college basketball under his belt, and he didn't shy away from the spotlight as a freshman, so you got to give him credit there. But the shooting touch does have to develop. Again, only 24% of his shot attempts were jump shot attempts, so he much more favored trying to get to the rim. He also is kind of unrelated, but if he improves his jump shot, maybe he can be used as a screener. I think he was barely used as a screener this season. I really didn't see any clips of him being used as a screener on the wing, and that could get interesting if they can get him the ball going downhill, but there's also a pick and pop threat. Just a thought. Again, about 57% from the free throw line on 4.5 attempts per game. In that SMU game, they really laid off of him. You can see here, Pierre gives him all the room to shoot it, not really trying to contest, but Henderson doesn't take the attempt. On the whole, he didn't have too much of a loose handle. He was able to kind of stay composed. He would be able to advance the ball across half court and start actions or get the ball to the point guard to start the offensive action. But from time to time, he did get pressured and did have some trouble. So you can see here, the defender's playing him up close, and he eventually loses the ball. Sometimes it's not just pressure, but when he's trying to create a shot, he'll also lose his handle. You can see right there. But again, he can settle the ball to kind of get the offense into their actions. You can see him bringing up the ball here. And likewise here as well. Did average 2 assists per game. Nothing really to comment on either way. Looking forward to seeing if he expands this area of his game more. You can see he draws 2 defenders there and is able to kind of dish it to the corner. The play doesn't result in a made shot, but still, you can see here he doesn't try to force it. Instead, he kicks it to Dante Allen in the corner. I would like to see him on his drives, because he's so prone to attacking the basket. I'd like to see him kind of lower his shoulder a little bit more, not play so much upright. I understand he was able to dislodge opponents with his forearm and his shoulders, and sometimes using angles, but I'd like to see him get lower on his drives. You can see here, he kind of plays upright. If we rewind that, maybe it's not the best example of it, but when I saw it, I kind of got that sense, especially over many reps, that he plays upright when he's driving. He doesn't have the most wiggle or shake to his game, so to speak. And you can see that here. I don't want to say he has stiff hips, because it doesn't look that way, but you know, when he's trying to make moves, it's just like dribbling kind of almost in place to try to get a straight line drive. In terms of his defense, seems to be a serviceable defender. It's hard to gauge it either way, whether he's he's not like a lockdown perimeter defender, at least not at this point in his career, but I don't think he's necessarily a poor defender either. I think this season, hopefully, we'll see him in some matchups where we can kind of ascertain that better. But this past season, he did it. He was able to slide his feet here against, I think that's Jakari White from Virginia. Yeah, it is. He's able to stick with him. There were clips going both ways. You can see there, White beats him off the dribble. LeJay Jones, easy crossover. Chance Mallory kind of has a step on him there. Nice job getting vertical there on help defense against Boopie Miller. You can see Henderson there, walls up pretty nicely. So that's it for my evaluation of Shelton Henderson. I think he's going to be bringing his physical style of play to this Miami team once again. You want to see if his jump shot can improve, if he can make decisions with the ball a little bit quicker off the dribble. Obviously, you want to see him continue to finish at a high level, and then defensively, you want to see him kind of play up in guys' grill if he can. Maybe some more pick and roll game offensively. See, his decision making in those aspects. But he has an NBA body and has physicality that is, to be noticed. So, big wing player, and a lot to like in his game, in his style of play. And we'll see if he can continue to expand his game this season as a sophomore.